West Ham 3, Fulham 1. Put your comments in the comments box, and I'll try and react to everything that you guys say. But obviously, yeah, a really disappointing afternoon for the Whites, especially when we went into the lead. Not disastrous by any stretch. I do think that VAR decisions cost us today or yesterday. But we'll react to everything that happened and go through it goal by goal. So, the starting lineup I think was better than expected. In all honesty, we saw Silva's team news in the week, and it didn't look good. We were worried about the fitness of multiple players. In the end, though, the big one was Mitrovic missing out. We kind of feared that might be the case. His foot injury still lingering on from that Serbia game in the international break. And Carlos Vinicius was up front. It was okay. I thought that Carlos did okay, but, he's clearly not Alexander Mitrovic, right? And he looked a bit rusty out there. I thought towards the end of the game, he faded away. But it was pleasing, on the other hand, from an injury point of view, to see Anthony Robinson back in the starting 11. We've massively missed him on that left-hand side, and particularly with Kazawa not being A, fit, and B, not looking that great when he played against Newcastle. I think that was such a massive boost to us. But the big shock, again, was right-hand side, right back. Kenny Tete still injured. We don't know anything about when he's going to return. They seem quite positive that it's not like a huge injury, but we know with Kenny's injury record that I wouldn't bank on him being back anytime soon. I wouldn't bank on anything really with Kenny Tete. We know that he has the tendency to have long spells out on the sidelines. And we didn't decide to use our stand-in right back, Kevin and Babu. He was dropped to the bench, and Bobby Decordova-Reid played right back. I love Bobby. I love the fact that he's willing to play so many different positions. I tweeted before the match that he'd probably do a stint in goal if he was asked to. But I think that quite clearly Decordova-Reid is not a right back, and you could see in his game yesterday that he was struggling a little bit at moments. I think he did really well. I'm not knocking Bobby, but clearly he's not a right back, and we'll come on to the second goal, and particularly how I think that his lack of positional awareness potentially cost us. It was an interesting lineup. Great to see Palhinha back, though, and it was Palhinha who set us going for that opening goal. A lovely pass to Neeskens Gabano, set us free down that left-hand side. He put through Andreas Pereira, and then what a hit to send us 1-0 up 5 minutes in. It was a really, really lovely hit. Great awareness from Andreas Pereira. He's obviously on the angle there. He's completely alone in the box, and I think that Zuma thinks that he's going to check back in himself and wait for support. By doing that, he anticipates the ball coming back into the box and leaves that gap open for Andreas Pereira to roof it past Lucas Fabianski. It's a wonderful finish. Great to see him get his first goal for the club. Hopefully first of many. We do need players like Pereira to chip in with goals, especially if Mitrovic is injured like he was yesterday. And just generally, Fabio Carvalho chipped in with so many last season. It was so valuable to have your attacking midfielder popping in with 5-6 goals. I think if Pereira can add that to his game this season, that's long been a criticism of his, is that he doesn't chip in with enough goals. If he can add goals to his game, then that is a really, really encouraging sign. Lovely, lovely finish from him. And at that moment, I think the game was there for Fulham to get more goals. Obviously, we saw Dan James hit the bar. There was a few times that we worked the ball into the box, and I think that we just either poor decisions or a bit of bad luck, or just not quite falling in the right way, meant that Fulham weren't able to make it 2-0. And I think under those circumstances, it was a really kind of like subdued crowd at West Ham yesterday. Sunday kickoff. They've been struggling a bit for goals this season, West Ham. I think if we'd have made it 2-0 at that point, I think that the game would have been entirely, entirely different. As it was, though, it didn't capitalize on those moments, and West Ham came into the game. We were looking a bit shaky at the back. Skamaka had a really, really good chance that he should have done better. Leno pulled off a couple of brilliant saves, really, to keep us 1-0 up. And then comes this penalty moment where Andreas, I'm not going to say he goes from hero to zero, because I think that's a bit harsh, but It's just infuriating what happens. He's caught in this tussle with Craig Dawson, who's a wily old fox. He knows what he's doing. He's got experience for days. He's been around the block. And there's this kind of weird tussle between Dawson and Pereira. The referee stops the corner being taken, calls it back, kind of warns them both. And then Pereira and Dawson get caught in the tussle again. Now, I've watched it loads of times. I'm still a bit unsure really who's in the wrong. I've seen replays that make it look like Craig Dawson clotheslines him. But then again, like Pereira gets in Dawson's way. I think ultimately it's naive, not just from Pereira, but from Fulham. I feel like in that situation, clearly these two are having a bit of a moment with each other. I think at that time you go like, look, Andreas, like someone like Anthony Robinson or someone more experienced, especially as Craig Dawson is probably one of the more dangerous headers of the ball in that box. Pereira, go on the post. Let's switch you out and let's just I'll take Craig Dawson. I think just it was naive, but also I do think Chris Kavanagh was very trigger happy to give a penalty in that moment. It wasn't a challenge that for me warranted a penalty. I know that it's a foul inside the box. So that sounds stupid, but I guess it comes down to the whole whether some fouls deserve then to be basically an instant goal. It's a bit of a tussle in the box. Yes, I get by the letter of the law it's a penalty, but sometimes you're those challenges, you're like, really? Was that like a goal-stopping moment? It was clumsy and a bit silly, but anyway, they're the laws of the game. I'm not going to get into them right now. Well tucked away by Jared Bowen, and yeah, really disappointing. I think even if Fulham had managed to hold out till half time at 1-0, again, the more and more you get that crowd agitated, I think it would have played into Fulham's hands. So it was disappointing, really, for us to surrender the lead like that. And then second half, I felt like we weren't controlling the ball quite as well as we were in the first, but also didn't feel like there was an awful lot of danger coming from West Ham. I felt like the game was in the balance. I felt like either team at that moment could have gone on and won it. And then let's come on to this second goal. First of all, like we'll come on to the VAR stuff. I don't really know what Fulham are doing. Tosin is a bit asleep. And as I come on to, they will think the Scamacca's offside. And this is the danger of playing someone who isn't a day-to-day right back at right back. Bobby Decordova-Reid is not up with the line. So he plays Scamacca on side. Tosin, Ream, Robinson are all with the line, and Bobby's let the side down there. Now, this is not shitting on Bobby. He's not a right back. And so he is not been drilled for years about how to maintain a defensive line. So first of all, that's on us, right? That situation comes about and it's on Marco and that decision to play Bobby at right back. And look, he must have had his reasons for not playing Mbabu, but I feel like Mbabu doesn't make that mistake because he's an experienced right back. But then, I mean, it was so weird in the ground. None of us I just assumed that it wasn't a goal because the West Ham fans barely celebrated. Scamacca didn't celebrate. And the Fulham players looked like they kind of stopped. Leno was the only one that even remotely looked like he was trying to stop the goal. And obviously it was a neat finish actually from Scamacca. For me, it is a handball. Yes, it only brushes his hand. And you can maybe make the case that is it a clear and obvious error? But I don't think when it comes to handball, it's one of those black and white things, especially when you're the goal scorer. If it hits your hand or arm, even accidentally, it is counted as a handball and it is a foul given against you. Maybe those laws are a bit harsh. And I got Danny Murphy's point on Match of the Day where he said, like, none of us want to see goals disallowed for a little graze like that. But ultimately, it is the laws of the game. It definitely hits his hand. The ball changes direction. You can see that on the replay. I also think it touches his elbow as well. So that's a double infringement. I think we're just looking for a bit of consistency here. And I know West Ham fans will say, oh, it only brushed him. I couldn't really tell. You can see the ball, the revolution of the ball starts again when it brushes his hand. So for me, it's clear as day. Not a goal, shouldn't have stood. And I just think that VAR has massively cost us and let us down there. I'd be interested to know your thoughts in the comments. If you disagree, feel free to let me know. Fulham then tried to kind of throw the kitchen sink at West Ham. It didn't really work. I thought that Kearney for Harrison Reed gave us a new impetus. I thought he came on and looked really bright. Some of the other substitutions I thought were a bit baffling. Josh Onoma for Pereira killed a load of momentum. Josh Onoma just didn't look sharp. There was a moment where actually Tosin had played a brilliant through ball that Josh Onoma, had he been sharp, I think reacts to and potentially is through on goal, but he's just caught on his heels. You can tell that it's been a long time. It's a weird one with Josh Onoma. He is so nearly a West Brom player, and then the move doesn't work out for whatever reason. Now he's kind of back in the frame, and it just feels weird that he's even in the team. And, you know, we've all seen Josh's quality at times. We know that he can be a match winner on his day. He's got bags of tricks and he is a fantastic player, but it feels weird to see him back in the side. Shane Duffy going up front for Neeskens Gabano was wild. Sadly, we didn't actually get to see any of Shane Duffy trying to score for Fulham, because pretty much straight after he came on, Fulham conceded the third. Mikel Antonio with the goal. I mean, it is poor defending again. Like, that's on us. I don't think that Fulham covered themselves in glory. However, we're chasing the game. We've put 3 at the back and we're much more interested in getting the second goal. So I'm not here really to criticize our defending when ultimately we're chasing the game at that point. And I'd rather lose 3-1 trying to chase a 2-2 than lose 2-1 and not bother trying to get the equaliser. Now, there is a handball here for Mikel Antonio. He clearly handles the ball. It's clear as day. There is no debate, and there can be no West Ham fans here saying that Mikel Antonio doesn't handle the ball. However, I do understand that there is another phase of play between him handling the ball and when he actually scores. If he had rolled it straight under Leno, it would have been disallowed. I think even though we can criticize VAR, I think they would have disallowed it. The fact that then Ream has the opportunity to clear it, he kind of clears it into Leno, and then it falls back to Mikel Antonio, is why that goal is allowed. That's my opinion on it, is that I do actually think, I didn't think it at the time, I was a bit angry on Twitter about it afterwards, but with a fresh head in the morning, I do actually see by the laws of the game why that one counts. But we don't be in that position where we concede that third goal if the second one doesn't go in. So I still think that we have been a bit robbed by VAR yesterday. I think the second one is where the debate is. The third one makes sense. It is different to like the Rashford one, because again, Rashford directly scored. I know it kind of comes off Pickford, but that's not a new phase of play. So I get it. So it's disappointing. And we'll go again. Like, it's not that deep that we've lost away to a side that finished 6th and 7th consecutive in the last 2 Premier League seasons away from home. A point is a good point away from home. I think on another day, we could have got a draw yesterday. The much bigger games are coming up. You've got Bournemouth at home, Villa at home, 2 massive, massive games that we need to at least get 1 win out of, and ideally 4 to 6 points. Really, I think that would be such a strong position for Fulham to be in going into the World Cup. If we could get 4 points out of the next 2 games, that would be absolutely amazing. So I think we were unlucky. I do think we're a bit robbed, but I don't think it's the end of the world. It's the beauty of our good starts to the season that we still can lose games like yesterday and it not be a drama. Of course, we can't make this a habit. And I am particularly worried about our defensive record at the moment. I thought we looked shaky yesterday at times in defense. I thought that West Ham could have scored a lot more, particularly in that first half. And let's get into some of your comments. And this first one, I think from Rafik in Sydney, we need clean sheets, I think is really spot on. I am worried about how we go about fixing this. We've conceded 4 in our last. We've conceded 4 against Newcastle. We conceded 3 against West Ham. We've conceded 2 against Forest. We are easily shipping 2 goals a game at the moment, and deservedly so. We're not getting bad luck. It's not wonder goals going in against us, apart from Miguel Almiron. I don't know what the solution is, because on their own, I think each player merits being there. Okay, Kenny Tete when he's back. That back 4 of Tete, Ream, Tosin and Robinson. I've done it the wrong way around. I think they all deserve to be there on merit, but you have to wonder when Issa Diop potentially comes into this system and whether Marco Silva will try and tweak that defense, because you cannot, and we have found this out the hard way, go on a rate of conceding to a game, and that's now what Fulham have done this season. We've conceded 18 goals in 9 matches. It's very much to a game, and stay in the division. Like, you cannot do that. So Marcus Silva's got his work cut out, and that's with the great protection that Reed and Polinia offer you as well. So it's not like we can say they're unprotected, because they are protected, because we know that Reed and Polinia do a fantastic job in that midfield of allowing the defense. So that's a question that I don't know the answer to, but you do wonder if Diop is probably the solution. I just don't exactly know who comes out, because whether it's Ream, whether it's Tosin, I think both of them have pros and cons to taking out. Harris said, Silva is right that the ref looked embarrassed when he saw the second goal on the big screen. Is there any way he could have chosen to chalk it off after seeing it? I don't know the rules to this, Harris. I believe that once a VAR decision is made, a VAR decision is made. I think unless extreme circumstances, he sees something on the screen that he doesn't. I don't know why the referee doesn't go to the screen, though, in that moment, and he's relying on Stockley Park. Go have a look yourself. The VAR monitor's there. This was a big debate in the first season. It's like, you've got the monitor, why don't you use it? It's a big decision. It's a game-changing decision. Just trot over to the screen and have a look for yourself. Make a decision. You are the referee, and you can work out whether the ball touched the hand. Maybe he thinks it's because it's a black and white rule. Did the ball touch his hand? And someone at Stockley Park has gone no. In which case, I'd be annoyed if I was Chris Kavanagh, because I've been undermined by my video assistant referee. I'm going to take the Silva's word that the ref looked embarrassed. I haven't seen the footage of him looking embarrassed, but I do think that if that's the case, then he has been let down. As someone who only made the rugby team at school and not the football team, I'm delighted us this weekend we're now allowed to use our hands in soccer. Yeah, well, Matt, it's a great weekend for you. You can maybe go look back at being a professional as clearly as Skamaka proved in the second goal. Using your hand is absolutely fine. Gubbity, some poor passing in the middle at times, not quick enough on the counter, difficult stadium to get going, and lacked atmosphere, being disjointed from the other set of fans. Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to shit on West Ham. I know a lot of West Ham fans are going to watch this and be in the comments. I struggle to get excited about that stadium. It's a lovely place to go to. Like, I went to was it Chalk Bar? Somewhere like that. Crate Brewery, that was it, in Hackney Wick beforehand. It was a beautiful day, nice day to be kind of walking around the London Stadium. It was a nice afternoon. But that stadium is just weird, man. That massive chasm between the two tiers is just so odd. It's really hard to get any chance going. I guess that's great from West Ham perspective, because the away fans maybe struggle to create atmosphere like they do at other grounds, but it's just so odd. And then look, this is nothing new to West Ham fans. You know this. You know that your stadium's no good, and you guys say it all the time, right? This is not like a brand new revelation, but it was odd. As for not being quick enough on the counter, I think Vinicius is potentially the reason why some of our counterattacks broke down. Mitrovic not only is a great hold-up striker, he drops deep, he gives options, he allows players on the wing to make runs in behind and stuff. I think Mitra is so key to how we do this, and Vinicius just wasn't offering us those kind of options up front to enable us to counterattack. I thought a few times that we did counter well, but I think Mitrovic is so the focal point of everything we're doing on the counterattack, and I really, really hope he can be back for Bournemouth. Alex Lowe, VAR decisions were bad, but by no means we deserve to win. I agree with this. I don't think we did deserve to win. I think we maybe deserved a draw, though. Like, I don't think we were that bad and that West Ham deserved to win. I think that Fulham were fine yesterday. I think it had been a draw. I don't think either side would have been able to complain. But, hey, it is what it is. And it's not like the end of the world what happened yesterday, but it is incredibly, incredibly disappointing. On the positive front, though, players coming back from injury. I hope Mitrovic will be back from Bournemouth. Silva seems pretty confident that he will. Harry Wilson off the bench yesterday was fantastic to see. I think that it's maybe a couple of games and he'll be probably starting for us. And that's going to feel like a new player with Harry Wilson. We know how well he links with Mitrovic in particular. Love to see a front three of Harry Wilson, Mitrovic and Neeskens, partially for Song, partially because we know how strong that front three can be. And then you've got players like Dan James coming off the bench. Wow, that is an exciting attacking proposition for Fulham. So if we can beat Bournemouth next week, we'll forget about these two results pretty quickly. Lose it, though, and I think we're going to get a bit nervous. This was supposed to be a month where we're supposed to pick up some points, and 3 losses in a row would be pretty tough to take. But we'll see. I'm confident, though, going into that Bournemouth game. I know they've been playing really well, that Fulham will step up. We'll have more players back. We'll have Mitrovic back. And yeah, I'm hopeful that we can get an all-important victory against a fellow, well, like you'd like to think a relegation rival, but considering both our positions in the table, it doesn't feel like a relegation 6-pointer on Saturday. But I think come the end of the season, I think we'll probably find that it is. Thank you so much for watching today. There's going to be a podcast out later today with more reaction from the game. We've also got a couple of really cool things. We've got Stephen Sheldrake. He did a match day experience. That's going to be out later today on the YouTube channel. And Jack and Joe show will be out later in the week on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe for all this great content. And please give a thumbs up to the video as well if you enjoyed it. But until then, have a lovely week. Come on, you Whites.